One of the hardest parts of rebuilding the ORIs is getting this spiral retaining ring out from this underneath that ledge on the damper screw. I came up with a method that's a little bit easier. Basically, what you're trying to do is hold the screw in while you extract the ring, but you have to hold it down. So we're going to put it in the drill press, clamp down on it really tight, and we'll use the drill press to hold it down. All right, something else you should know about trying to pull these screws out. If the screw will not press in and expose the spiral ring, the O-ring has slipped into an oversized chamfer, and you'll likely never get those out without drilling the screw out. It's more worth your time just to replace the lower mount at that point. Using a precision screwdriver, you can catch the edge of the spiral retaining ring and pry it out, and it usually helps to have another pick to pry it up, and then you can start working it out. Once your spiral retaining ring is removed, you can usually wiggle this screw back and forth a little bit to get it to pop up, and then sometimes you need a little compressed air in the middle hole on this new style. I'm holding it with my thumb so I don't blow the screw out of its hole. There's a small 1/16 inch ball and a spring in there I'm trying not to lose. All right, sorry we had to go off camera there. I needed Russell's help to turn this screw while I put pressurized air into these two ports. I plugged one and then put air into this one up on top. And once you have that screw out, there's three parts that you don't want to lose: a 1/16 ball, a cup, and a spring. There they are. And now we can swap these parts over to the good lower mount. Now to install the Rebound damper screw, this is the new style with a thinner O-ring. This is a part I do not have here at the shop currently, but these are still good parts, so I'm going to reuse these in the new lower mount. You want to use just a little bit of lubricant on it. This Lucas assembly lube is pretty good stuff. All right. In order, the parts go back in. Spring detent cup first into the small bore. Next, install the spring into the detent cup. And you have to place the 1/16 ball, or it might be an 1/8 inch ball actually, sorry about that, on top of the spring. And it has to maintain that position while you install the screw. So what I do is I press the screw in, and there, if you look closely at the top of the screw, there's a mustache shape on the end that has to go on the opposing side of the 1/8 ball. So just like this, so it doesn't unseat the ball. And then I'll push the screw straight into the bore with a flathead screwdriver, and I'll hold it there while I install the spiral ring. Okay, still holding the screw in with my finger the best I can. This is kind of a tricky part. You got to catch the bottom lip of this spiral ring with a small flat blade screwdriver. you want to make fun of my weird fingers, that's fine, everybody does. Alright, it's seated. And just give it a test to make sure you're getting 3/4 turn. Stop. Stop. Now to install the filler valve assembly. The best stuff to use for the ORI parts at least is this liquid Teflon. I suppose you can use Teflon tape too, but we've had really good luck with this stuff. Using a deep 7/16 socket, tighten it in there. You're threading into aluminum, so don't go crazy tight on these. Now these 5/8 hemispherical bearings, they're okay, but I like to give them a little bit more of a chamfer on the edge so that they press in smoothly into the lower mount. Will do. Now that I have the bearing chamfered a little bit, it'll help keep that from pilling up aluminum. If these don't press in tight, use blue Loctite around the bearing, and that's usually good enough to take up the slack. And to install the stamp ring, a lot of people don't know this, but there is a right way and a wrong way to install them. They're stamped. There's always a smooth side and a sharp side if you want to make your life easier when you remove them. If the sharp side is facing out, it'll be easier to install, and they'll also stay in better. All right, I've already disassembled these parts and cleaned the threads with brake cleaner. Do not get any brake cleaner on these O-rings, it'll eat them up. And you once again want to use your little bit of lubricant on this small O-ring. I try to use a small amount because you don't really want to get it on the threads that you just cleaned. The smallest O-ring presses into the bottom of that thread. And then you'll want to carefully put a few drops of Loctite on the inside of that thread. Oh, actually, let's put this little O-ring in first. There's 2 O-rings that go into the damper body. This one goes here. bottom of those threads. And the Loctite will be hard to see in the video, but I'm going to show you in a second. And if you can zoom into those threads there, you might be able to see I've just placed a few drops around the threads there. Make these snug the best you can by hand. And then you'll want to use a few drops of Loctite on the big tube as well. That's plenty. Really didn't need that much. If there's any residual Loctite, clean it up so it doesn't flake off inside your rebound assembly. You want to keep everything clean when you're putting these together. Next, you want to press in your vent tube. About that far. A lot of these are knurled on the end to help hold them in the, give them a better press fit. And because they're knurled, they'll actually leak when you're trying to vent. So I usually put a drop of Loctite all the way around that so that I can set up and seal between the tube and the press. If it leaks, it's really hard to vent these. Anytime you use Loctite, give it about 30 minutes to dry before you put it in the oil. Now you want to put another few drops of Loctite on the lower mount threads. Now this lower mount has a boss to help guide this tube in. They don't all have that. You want to make sure you don't plug the hole right there. You should cover about half of it. Go snug with your hands. And once that all sets up, I forgot the O-ring on the top. Here you go. There. And there's one more O-ring here. There you go. Finished lower mount assembly.